This is WMBF News Today at 5.
And new this morning, turns out you don't even have to be an Anthem Health customer to be the victim of a massive hack. We'll tell you who else needs to double check that identity.
Crews are out on the roads right now preparing for our next batch of potential winter weather. I'm live with what's being done to make sure your commute is good to go.
But there could already be danger out there on the roads for you this morning.
Yeah, and Marla Branson has more on where drivers are most at risk right now. Marla?
Temperatures hovering near freezing or even below for some folks. We're talking 30 in Laurinburg, which is where we could see some icy patches on the bridges. Not too much of an issue for Darlington or Florence. However, I did get a report overnight that Highway 52 in Darlington, 52 bypass, couple patchy spots of ice. Now, closer to the coast, notice we are 34 in Myrtle Beach, 32 in North Myrtle. Just be careful. I didn't encounter any issues on my way into work, but I didn't have to drive over a bridge. Just be careful throughout the morning hours. Also on our radar, or that we're watching out for, some light patchy fog, especially from Marion into Conway. Now, here's a live look over downtown Florence. You see a little bit of that fog there in the distance. The main thing that we need to know is that temperatures will climb above freezing early this morning. I'll have an hour-by-hour look at the day ahead, as well as when that round number 2 of winter weather is heading our way.
And Marla, real quick, I want to remind you about the many school delays still this morning. Horry County Schools, Darlington County Schools, they'll both be on a 2-hour delay for both students and staff. This also applies to Florence districts 1 through 5. Dillon County School districts 3 and 4 will be on that 2-hour delay as well. All Horry, Georgetown Technical College campuses will open at 9:45 this morning. All of the schedule changes scrolling at the bottom of your screen right now, and throughout this newscast, we'll bring you more throughout WMBF News Today.
And there's also delays to our local government offices this morning. The Dillon and Florence government offices will open at 10. Well, DOT crews in both North and South Carolina have been working around the clock to make sure that your drive is as safe as possible. Katrina Helmer is out live this morning near the back gate. Katrina, how are their resources holding up?
Well, DOT crews are telling me that so far everything is so good, and they're going to be out this morning on all the roads preparing everything, and also especially our bridges and overpasses. As we brace for more wintry weather in the next 24 hours, I checked up with our road crews to see how they're preparing yet again. According to both SCDOT and NCDOT, there's plenty of salt and brine to treat the roads for this batch of weather. Steve Abbott with NCDOT tells me that after last week's round of icy weather, they immediately stocked up on salt and started making their brine, so he knows they have enough to cover your roads. SCDOT leaders also say they have enough salt to treat properly. Shannon Welch tells me that since yesterday, this is the first major weather event for crews here in Horry County this year. Each time it's a little different, so crews have to constantly monitor the conditions very closely. Then they choose and adapt their methods accordingly. I spoke with drivers around town along with mechanics who see damage this wintry weather can do on your vehicles. The general manager of Jiffy Lube says it best when it comes to hitting the roads today.
Those are the things that start icing first, your bridges and places like that. So you just got to be a little extra precautionary. Leave the house a little earlier. Don't be in such a hurry in the morning.
When it comes to using brine, crews can only use it when things are dry. So once the ground gets wet or it starts snowing, they can no longer pre-treat with brine because it will get washed away. Now with snow, that's a little easier to manage, so I'm told it's definitely a little bit harder to pre-treat and treat for ice. That's why DOT crews are focusing a lot of their attention this morning on any of these bridges and overpasses. Reporting live in Horry County, Katrina Helmer, WMBF News.
Katrina, thanks for that update. 504. Yeah, 504 right now. It's a case that left 3 families with a devastating loss and police searching for answers. 9 months after the Bike Fest Memorial Day weekend triple murder at Bermuda Sands, the gunman has yet to be captured. This despite the fact that there were hundreds of potential witnesses standing right in the middle of the chaos. The families of the murder victims say there's no doubt someone knows who pulled the trigger, but for some reason no one is coming forward.
A lot of them have this no snitching guidelines they try to walk by because they feel they have to do it for society and their peers. But what they don't understand is it's not considered snitching when you're not a part of the activity that has taken place.
Tonight, Brennan Summers sits down with police to find out what's made solving this case so very difficult and where the victims' families believe the answer for them might be. Our special investigation into the Bike Fest Memorial Day triple murder case tonight on WMBF News at 11.
A Darlington City Police patrol car was involved in an accident. It happened on Pearl Street on Monday. The police chief tells us that officer ran into the back of a car while trying to find another one linked to a fraud case. It's believed that the officer took his eyes off of the road for a moment and didn't see the car in front of him had stopped. The people in that car weren't seriously hurt, but they were taken to the hospital. This morning, we are getting a look at two men Florence police say had over 1,500 grams of cocaine in their car. Officers say it happened during a traffic stop on I-95 just this week. 27-year-old Mark Miller of Loris and 21-year-old Trayshawn Jenkins of Santee have both been charged with trafficking. The men are being held at the Florence County Detention Center on $50,000 surety bonds.
A woman convicted of driving under the influence and causing a deadly crash facing 25 years in prison this morning. Police say Brittany Lewis had cocaine in her system when she crashed in January of last year. Reports show Lewis pushed the gas pedal down and accelerated to nearly 65 miles per hour while moving into the oncoming lane of traffic. That's when she hit a car, killing Jackie Cohen and Ryan Marsh. Another person in their car also sent to the hospital after that crash. It was at the intersection of Bucksport Road and Highway 701. The victims' mothers now pushing the state for greater penalties for convicted DUI drivers. Happening today, the program in South Carolina that's helping our veterans find jobs after they return from service is celebrating its first year. Operation Palmetto Employment will hold an event in Columbia this morning. Governor Nikki Haley and Adjutant General Robert Livingston Jr. among the speakers at that event. Officials say the program helped drop the state's unemployment rate for veterans to 3.5% last year.
The Palmetto Regional First Robotics Competition returns to Myrtle Beach this week. That competition has high school students learning the benefits of careers in science, engineering, and technology. This is footage from last year's event. 66 high school teams, including ones from Horry County, will arrive at the Myrtle Beach Convention Center tomorrow. They'll be practicing and having their robots inspected. Then on Friday and Saturday, the tournament begins. The competition is free and open to the public. You have the chance to make sure that downtown Myrtle Beach is free of trash. The Downtown Redevelopment Corporation and the city are hosting the Big Sweep Community Cleanup effort. It's happening Wednesday, March 18th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. All property owners and community members are asked to volunteer to spruce up the area before tourist season begins. The link on how to sign up is in this story on WMBFnews.com. You'll find it on the local page.
All right, folks, if you are constantly putting on chapstick, maybe checking your smartphone, there could be a problem.
It sure might be. Bridget Burnett has more on soft addictions that can have lasting impacts on your health.
You hear the word addiction and maybe drugs, alcohol, or even caffeine comes to mind. But there are other fixations people crave.
1, 2, 3.
Exercising is one of them.
They try to push, and your body will completely shut down.
When staying fit turns into compulsive habits and you obsess over each pound lost, well, that's when your mindset has been compromised.
So the attitude of the more I lift, the more reps I do, the bigger, the stronger I'm going to get, the healthier I'm going to get, and your body won't work that way.
And what else can't people get enough of?
We have a lot of, return clients.
Tattoos are like potato chips. You can't have just one. And isn't that true?
People definitely enjoy their tattoos, and especially around this time of year.
And if you ask Andrew Berger, having 1 or 10 tattoos isn't a bad thing. But what happens when chronic addictions become strange or those love handles are a little too hard to handle?
A lot of people have an unhealthy relationship with food. They don't even realize that they eat when they're not hungry.
Becky Anderson says set a 21-day goal and stick to it.
Nutrition and exercise are two obvious disciplines, but it really is behavior is that third big discipline.
And drink up.
Your muscles are made up of 70 to 80% water. Your body is made up of water. So you cannot drink enough water.
Not all addictions are negative. Just know if you start feeling guilty about your behavior, then switch a potentially lifelong addiction back to a simple habit.
New this morning, we now know the data breach at the second largest U.S. health insurer may have impacted some of you who aren't even customers of Anthem. Up to 18 million non-Anthem customers may be at risk, according to a statement from the company. Anthem, part of a nationwide network of independently run Blue Cross and Blue Shield plans. The Blue Cross Blue Shield customers are potentially affected because their records may be included in the Anthem database that was hacked. The U.S. Secret Service will fly drones over Washington and that area in the near future. The agency isn't releasing exactly where the exercises will take place, other than that they'll involve areas where flights are typically restricted. That includes airspace above the White House and U.S. Capitol. The Secret Service announced the exercises have been carefully planned and coordinated with other government agencies and will be tightly controlled.
New details right now. A man is under arrest on suspicion of felony hit and run after police say he caused a train derailment. He's believed to have abandoned his truck on train tracks early yesterday in California. The Metrolink commuter train derailed after slamming into the produce truck, injuring 28 people on board, 4 of them critically. The National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Railroad Administration now investigating.
There's a pretty good chance the car you're driving right now has been recalled and not fixed. The startling results of a new study that shows millions of us are in danger of a serious crash or worse coming up.
Plus, our radar is clear now, but that won't be the case for long when rain returns in your first alert forecast.